Good evening.
Hey guys, welcome to the family room. I hope you're having a great day. It is a little warm in the
It is
Ozarks.
warm in the Ozarks, but it is good that the sun is shining, is all I have to
Yes,
say.
I like the sun
We have had
shining
tons of
over the
rain.
sun not shining.
This is so true. But we hope the sun is shining on the inside of you because you are one with the Father and one with love. And then we hope that you are ready to talk tonight about being established in grace.
Right?
And our journey of being established in our own hearts in grace, Terry, has taken us to talk about the subject we've been on for several months now. And that is we have been deconstructing the subject of hell. And we've been looking at all the scriptures that have been interpreted into the word hell and have been looking at them through the lens of love. We've been looking historically about what they've meant, because when you have begin to embrace the love of God, the doctrines that produce fear in your
Have
life,
to go out the window.
you have to take a look at and say, we've got to be looking at them.
And Robin, that's what I think as you deconstruct the lies and the things that have held you in bondage and in chains. What it does is, as you deconstruct those things, it makes me love the Father even more. It just makes me see the reality of He's good and that He's loved. So really, while we're tearing one thing down, we're really building our identity of who God is. And that's what Jesus came to do. He came to reveal the Father. And so we're going to jump in here tonight and deal with actually a couple of extremely difficult scriptures
that have been used to put fear in the hearts of men and
Robin,
women.
I have heard some really terrible messages
goodness.
on these out of, I think we're going to go to Matthew 10 here tonight.
That you would, even if you had embraced Jesus into your life, you would have thought that you were for sure questioning whether or not that you had any security in your relationship.
Right.
And really, Terry, it's the very opposite. And we're going to be talking about this. Jesus was constantly challenging their wrong thought process about the Father God. And a lot of times he would state their wrong belief, and then he would throw back the right belief
to kind of get them to compare almost.
I mean, contrasting their old system, this old system of thinking that was getting ready to go off the scene, that he was challenging and addressing, and bringing in this new system of love thinking, this love and inclusion that he was modeling through his death, burial, and resurrection.
So, Robin, even, sometimes some of the objections that is brought up to me is that, what are you going to do with these difficult scriptures over here? I think the difficult scriptures, a lot of times Jesus is using their language to get them to see the way they've been thinking, and then he interjects something that's really good. And a lot of times all we look at is the bad.
And this is what I love why we start with our original scripture that we start with, and that is the fact, read it out of Hebrews chapter 13, because it is so good and it helps. This is why we have to look at everything as a whole. Yeah. Because Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and forever.
Yeah, I love that. That's what it says. Jesus Christ the same yesterday, today, and forever. Do not be carried about with various and strange doctrines.
Right.
And so, Robin, every time I read that, I think, man, we have been carried about with various and strange doctrines, even in the Gospels, because we didn't understand what Jesus was doing in the culture. I mean, here we are 2,000 years later with hundreds of translations, later, and we try to read our English Bibles and not understanding the culture of that day. And man, we have come up with some various and strange doctrines that leave us in fear and torment. And Jesus never, even to the disciples, he was not leaving them in fear and torment. No. He was trying to bring them into the goodness of God, into the Father's love. But we've misunderstood a lot of stuff.
And what we've done, instead of looking at what Jesus was saying as a whole, we take one little set of scriptures that could have some mistranslations, a few verses of the scriptures, and we that completely conflict with what Jesus was talking about with the lost sheep, the lost coin,
Yeah.
the prodigal
Yeah.
son, how he
Yeah.
treated people, the way he was, everything he was
He
modeling.
was showing us the Father, so
He was showing us.
he wouldn't do things that would be opposite of what the Father's nature is.
So then we have to really dig in and look at the audience he was talking to, and really look at maybe some of the mistranslations of some of those words.
And what Jesus was dealing with in his
Yes.
communication skills of what because he wasn't talking. We're going to read some scriptures out of the Gospels. He wasn't saying this to us. We're going to find out tonight. He was specifically talking to his disciples in Matthew 10.
Yeah.
So Robin, it goes on to say, don't be carried about with various and strange doctrines, for it is a good thing that your heart is established in grace with favor. And as you begin to establish your heart in grace, then you begin to see a little more clearly every day. And I believe that's what we're going to be doing, Robin, through eternity, is learning and growing in the goodness of God. That's why I love that scripture in Ephesians 2 that says that God has all the ages to come.
To show us his
and maybe it says that because some of us are so dadgum slow that it's going to take him ages to show us.
We have been, I mean, we've been on this journey for like 37 years. Our anniversary is next week. And really, it was probably about the second year into our journey, that our marriage, that we really began to awaken to the grace of God. And man, I am telling you, God is so patient, and he just keeps moving us forward. But I'm telling you, it gets better and better, Terry.
It does.
And when you really begin to establish your heart in grace and feel safe and really convinced that God is nothing but love, when you see these scriptures that don't make sense, they put up red flags, and you go, okay, God, you are going to have to show me what
you're
this
going to have
really,
to enlighten me. Give me a little spirit knowledge here.
Because this goes against Hebrews 13:8. Jesus Christ is saying yesterday, today, and forever. When we see inconsistencies with the Father, with what Jesus was saying, or even what the scriptures would say from the Old Testament to the New Testament. Jesus was constantly correcting their view of the Father in the Old Testament, what they thought the Father was like in the Old Testament.
I'm trying to think of the right word right now, but even in the reading from the Old Testament to the New Testament, we think you can read
that it's all equal.
That it's all equal, but it's very clear in the New Testament that Jesus was presenting something that no one had ever seen before, and that was a father figure who was good and love. And so you can't just read it equal across the board. And we've been saying anyway, everything in the Old Testament was fulfilled in that generation of Jews. Now, the implications of walking all of those things out in our moment, of course, everything is still in play, and we can make everything applicable from the Old Testament to the New. There's spiritual, there's symbolic things in the Old Testament that we can look at.
Plus, Terry, we could still be making the same mistakes they were making.
We have been.
We are still be making the same mistakes. So for sure, it could be relevant to us.
So, Robin, we've got to filter everything we believe through what Jesus revealed to us through his life, death, and resurrection. And I just want to remind you as we get into these tonight that Robin and I are on a journey. We're taking our time here. That's why we're spending so much time on this. And so if this is your first time, I would recommend, you can listen tonight and hopefully you will hear what we're saying, but I would really recommend you going back and listening to the previous ones, because Robin, if you leave out some of the stuff we've said in past months,
some of this might not make sense.
Then some of this might be hard for you to grasp.
But the truth
is, it shouldn't be.
No. But plus, Terry, because we're one with the Father, and everyone listening to us is one with the Father, whether we've awakened to it or not, it's going to bear witness. When you hear the love of God, when things are opposite of love, there's something that doesn't set right, because it doesn't set right. We're going to talk about it contradicts the Father on the inside of us. And
we knew it. There were some of these things that we're talking about now. We knew 35 years ago that some of this stuff, but it wasn't safe 35 years ago to even ask some of the questions that we're trying to bring some reconciliation to today.
Some understanding.
So again, our measure is Jesus. He's our touchstone. And so as we get back in here, we've been looking at the word Gehenna. And so the last several weeks, we've looked at prophecies from Jeremiah that spoke of Gehenna and the destruction that was coming to Jerusalem and Judah in 70 AD. And believe me, there's a lot more that we didn't even touch on. All of that Old Testament stuff was written to Jews about their moment 2,000 years ago.
Yeah, and Terry, that's what I think we really have to understand is audience relevance.
Right.
That when we're looking at the scriptures, we have to look at the people that they were speaking to, and historically, what did those things mean in that moment? So it would be hard to conceive that Jesus would mention a physical place, because Gehenna was a physical garbage type dump where they burned the carcasses of the sacrifices, where they threw
criminals.
Yes,
that's where
bodies were burned.
In the Old Testament they sacrificed. Israel sacrificed their children to Molech and Baal. So it was a place of judgment. That Gehenna. They knew national judgment was coming, not from God, but from their own. What?
Natural consequences of the way that they believed and treated the people around them because of their belief system.
So they would have never, whenever Jesus said Gehenna in these scriptures that we're going to read again tonight in Matthew 10, they would, whenever they heard Gehenna, they wouldn't be thinking eternal conscious torment.
They've thought of a physical place.
Because that's what we've been fed. And that's what we've believed.
Yeah, we've been told that that's what it means. So in the Old Testament, and this is questions that we have to ask.
Right.
In the Old Testament, why did the Bible translators not translate Gehenna, which was Topheth, Gehenna, the Valley of Slaughter, into the word hell there?
Right.
And then they translated it into the word hell in the New Testament. There was no consistency.
And there was no connection because that hell wasn't even... That wasn't even a word.
It was a physical place.
Yes.
It was not a place of the afterlife.
Right.
So if Gehenna truly represents hell, so this is what you and I have kind of walked ourselves through.
Right.
If Gehenna truly represents a place of hell or of eternal conscious torment, why is it mentioned so little in the scriptures? Only 12 times in the New Testament. 11, some of them are repeats.
Yes, 11 by Jesus in the Gospels, and then he repeats some of those, as we're going to see tonight, and then one in the book of James.
So you would think such a foundational Christian doctrine would be referenced all over
Robin,
the New
and
Testament.
again, we've said this, God didn't address it in the law in the Old Testament. You would have thought he would have told Adam and Eve whenever they did their thing. And of course, we think about that a little bit differently. But if, he would have at least told them, hey, everybody from you on, there's going to be a lot of people burning for eternity. Don't you think God should have said something? But that wasn't on the table.
And in that same vein, if something as significant as spending eternity separated from God was on the table, why was it never mentioned in Acts by Luke when the gospel is being presented to the Jews and the Gentiles? And John and Paul don't even mention it in their writings either. I think those began to be some things that we began to really look at that said, we've got something wrong in in the doctrine of eternal conscious torment.
So the truth is, whenever Jews heard Gehenna, they would not think eternal conscious torment.
They would think
they would have been familiar with Gai Ben Hinnom, the Valley of Slaughter. They would have been familiar with that in their Old Testament
They
scriptures.
would have been thinking about the place they could go walk by if they wanted to.
So well, it was a place of sight and sound and smell, and they, even as Jesus was talking a lot of times, he could be viewing it from where he was at.
Yeah.
So
true.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Jesus used the word Gehenna in conjunction with warning the Jews of the mortal temporary judgment that was to be carried out by the Romans.
Now, Robin, I don't think Jesus was threatening anyone.
No,
I think he was warning. He loved them. If there wasn't threat,
He was
even
trying to
then, I don't
gather-
believe there was threat.
A lot of scripture says that I tried to gather you like a hen gathers the ships,
Yeah.
but you wouldn't listen to me.
He jumped in their box and their language and
Oh my
their
gosh.
law and tried to get them to come out of that, and that's pretty amazing to me.
And really, that's what the title of our message is tonight: No Fear and Love.
Yeah.
I mean, when you really begin to look at what Jesus was doing, he was trying to move them into a way of seeing the Father as a Father of love. And that's what because there's no fear in love. Fear only comes when we have a misunderstanding of what Papa God is like.
Yeah. So what we just said a minute ago, mortal temporary judgment that was going to be carried out by the Romans that Jesus was warning. This was going to be a result, and this is important. I don't even know how much I can overstate this.
Yeah, I agree.
This would be a result of the natural consequences of their seed sown from their system of thinking that produced acts of anger, exclusion, and animosity toward everyone outside of the Jewish culture. And Jesus, Robin, was coming to break all of that. But he was breaking it with love.
Yeah.
That is powerful.
He was bringing a new thought process that said that God has always been, he would make statements like, I am in the Father is in you, you are in me, and I am in you. And this was before he would just talk about that, the oneness that he would talk about, and that was before the cross.
Yeah.
that was a new concept. He was bringing a familial view of the Father instead of a judicial view. They had only looked at God as being judicial. If you did anything wrong, pick up sticks on the Sabbath day, you're could be
dead.
stoned. You're toast. They only looked at him as someone of that was all about rules, and he was really the complete opposite.
But Robin, even as they were writing the Old Testament, that was their projection. That was the projection of their own heart toward God, because Jesus said in the New Testament, or John said about Jesus, no man has seen God at any time, but the Son has declared him under this new system.
And that's they were bringing in the views of the pagan gods
Right.
and the mythological gods that demanded blood.
Right.
And
They were angry.
They were angry, yes.
Yep.
And they were putting that off on our Father.
So,
the word Gehenna is used in Matthew, that we're going to talk about tonight.
Matthew 10 and Luke 12.
Yep, and these are similar scriptures using the word Gehenna translated into hell, and they're found in both passages. And there's some differences in these passages, but they are very similar. So tonight what we're going to do is we're going to focus on Matthew chapter 10.
Okay, so we're going to read the verses from 28 to 32 in Matthew 10 tonight.
Out of the Passion Translation.
Out of the Passion Translation. And then in Luke 12 is the other one, but it's similar. There's some similarities, but then there's some differences, but we're only going to go to Matthew 10 tonight. And then, but let's set the stage, Robin, for who and what Jesus was addressing.
Yep. Listen, Jesus was specifically, let's say who his audience relevance was. He was specifically in these passages talking to the 12 disciples.
And I think that's in verse 5 or 6. He was sending them out.
Right.
And whenever he was sending them out, he was sending them out to the Gentiles. With what kind of message?
No, to the Jews.
He wasn't sending them to the Gentiles.
He wasn't sending them to the Gentiles.
He was only sending them to the Jews because Jesus was called to the lost house of the sheep of Israel.
And really what he was doing, he was, again, sending them out with this message of love and inclusion, warning them to leave their judicial and judgmental mindset.
Wow.
And warning them that Judaism was getting ready to come to an end in 70 AD. And he was telling them that not everybody was going to embrace this message.
No matter of fact, they were going to get persecuted. Some of them would even lose their life during that 40-year period after the resurrection.
But Jesus was telling them, to warn the people that if they would embrace this new way of thinking and endure till the end,
and that scripture is a little bit above verse 28. Whenever we read this,
that they would be saved from destruction, and that they would not end up in Gehenna, the burning garbage dump outside of Jerusalem.
Yeah, that's powerful.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the scriptures. It says in Matthew 10, 28, 31 out of the Passion Translation, don't be in fear of those who can kill only the body, but not your soul. Fear only God, who is able to destroy both soul and body in hell. I mean, this whole passage, Robin, is really
You stop
troublesome.
there, you're going like, what? That is the complete opposite of the love of God.
But then as soon as that, and we're gonna dissect
this. Let's keep reading.
The next verse says, you can buy 2 sparrows for only a copper coin, yet not even one sparrow falls from its nest without the knowledge of your Father. Aren't you worth much more to God than many sparrows? Wow. So don't worry, for your Father cares deeply about even the smallest detail of your life. So, Robin, the first thing that I think of is whenever, because he's saying that
He's really stating what Judaism had taught them. Judaism had said, "Fear only a God who can destroy both body and soul." That's the thought process he was trying to bring them out of, and the disciples still struggled with that thought
they
process.
did, and he said, "Don't be in fear of those who can kill only the body," which was going to be their own countrymen, the Jews. They would be in, as they were preaching the gospel, the Jews,
be threatened by them.
They were going to be threatened and killed. I mean, Saul, who became Paul, killed a lot of Christians before he became one, and so. And then the Romans were going to kill them if you were staying in Jerusalem. If you didn't listen to the message, you would be in Jerusalem and ultimately you would be killed. And so I love this.
So let's restate it like this, because I really believe to bring clarity when we understand the message that Jesus is trying. Jesus was saying, don't value the opinion of the person who could just destroy your body,
right?
But value God's opinion, the one, if he chose, could destroy both your soul and body in Gehenna. But this is not our Papa God. And then he goes on to describe what Papa was like. His nature is love. He takes care of the sparrows. Don't you think he will take care of you as he knows every detail of your life? Papa God would never throw his children into hell or Gehenna, and for sure not into a place of eternal conscious torment. This goes against the very nature of our Father, and the whole purpose of why Jesus was on the earth was to bring us out of a separation mindset.
So he was doing a comparison then.
He was contrasting.
He was contrasting what they believed,
what Judaism had told them,
and what he was actually teaching on a constant basis.
Yeah.
And Robin, I can see that all through the New Testament, but I can really see it in the way Jesus was walking in his moment and the way he was teaching.
Yeah, because look at what John 3:16 and 17. I love this. This is out of the Passion Translation as well, because this is why Jesus was here. For here is the way God loved the world. Because this is the heart of the Father. He gave his only Son, unique Son as a gift. So now everyone who believes in him will never perish, but experience. I love this. Experience everlasting life.
Okay, stop right there for just a second. That word everlasting is the word aeonius, and we haven't talked a lot about this, but we're going to in the weeks ahead. That word everlasting is that word aeon or aeonius. It should have been translated life in the age. In other words, he was talking about them. If you'll believe in the Son and his way of doing things, his way of thinking, then you'll experience life in your moment. I'm not taking heaven away from us. I'm saying that really nothing in the Bible is really about the afterlife. Everything is about us experiencing life
right now,
in the moment. The kingdom is here. It's not coming. It's been within us. It was within all of these people that Jesus was talking to, and that's what he was trying to get over to them.
And then I love what verse 17 says. God did not send his Son into the world to judge and condemn the world. He's not going to throw their soul and body into Gehenna, but to be its Savior and rescue it.
But the question is, Robin, what was he Savior of? What was he rescuing us from?
Well, our wrong way of thinking about it. Yes, he was trying to rescue them from their judicial and judgmental way of God. Jesus was challenging the disciples' angry and judicial thinking they still struggled with about Papa God. That's why he was saying these things. Remember, he was talking to the 12 disciples here. Listen, James and John wanted to call fire down out of heaven and for those who rejected what Jesus was saying. And Jesus in that moment reminded them that he didn't come into the world to destroy men's lives,
but to save them. Yes. Save them in their moment.
Yeah.
Because Jesus knew what was coming. And again, I quoted this earlier, but I'm going to read it out of the Passion Translation. Actually, I guess I didn't quote this one. I quoted the one out of John chapter 1. But this is 1 John. And I think it's chapter 4 and verse 18. Love never brings fear, for fear is always related to punishment. But love's perfection drives the fear of punishment
I love that.
far from our hearts. Whoever walks constantly afraid of punishment has not reached love's perfection.
And Terry, when you are viewing God as judicial and judgmental, you will read those scriptures and that's what you'll pull from it.
And that's what you'll put in it.
Yes, but when you understand the heart of the Father and you begin to have your heart established in grace and you begin to see the love of God, you'll look at that scripture and you'll see, man, he is describing the Father when he talks about the sparrow and how he knows every detail of our lives. And
he cares for us.
And he said that to challenge the disciples' thinking because he knew that they would, when those people were going to come up against them and persecute them, the disciples were going to want to do what they did, James and John
call
did,
fire down out of heaven.
They were going to want to retaliate back against them. But they were saying, listen, follow the heart of the Father, the love of inclusion, and embrace them even in their that moment.
Yeah.
Don't fight that. Keep speaking. If they don't want to receive what you have to say, then walk away. But stay in peace because that's how Jesus operated and what he was modeling and what he was treating them like.
So let's go on, Robin, and read a little bit further in chapter 10, verses 32 and 33.
Because these are some scriptures that
listen to
cause
this.
You to
After everything that we've said, listen to the next two verses.
Yeah.
And in other translations, it's a lot worse.
But these are good.
Here it goes. If you openly and publicly acknowledge me, remember he sent the 12 out
and he's
to
still
tell
talking,
everybody. He's still talking in that vein. I will freely and openly acknowledge you before my heavenly Father. But if you publicly deny that you know me, I will also deny you before my heavenly Father. Listen, Robin, the moment we read scriptures like this, I've heard such messages where I knew that I had already received Jesus back in the day, but I would hear stuff like this and I would think, man, if I don't walk the walk and talk the talk, if I don't do the right thing,
something in my life looks like it's denying God,
then he'll deny me. But that's totally opposite
so you have
of what
to,
he's saying.
You have to the touchstone has to be Jesus. We have to measure everything through love. Knowing the message of love and inclusion Jesus is bringing, could it have been stated like this? If you agree with me and the message of love and inclusion I am bringing, it will bear witness and agree with the Father who's in you because you are one with the Father. If you disagree and deny or contradict, because that word deny,
that word deny can mean contradict.
The message of love and conclusion I am bringing, it will contradict and disagree with the Father in you because the Father isn't changing. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever.
And the truth is, Robin, we are the same on the inside. We are one with the Father.
But why is he the same? Love.
Love.
He is going to, if those disciples would have gotten angry and would have denied the message through their actions by retaliating against the persecution, then he was saying it's going to deny the very Father that's on the inside of you. It's going to contradict what you have on the inside of you. It is going to conflict with who you really are and who the Father is.
So, Robin, historically, even though Jesus was talking to the 12, man, what kind of application can we make for this in our moment? That we're not to retaliate, that we're not to be angry and upset.
That if we get persecuted or someone contradicts us or someone comes against us personally, and whether it's just us personally or maybe we share something about the love of God and people come against what we're saying about the love of God, we could rise up and get angry, but that goes against and denies who the Father is on the inside of us because the Father is not operating in anger or retaliation. He came to rescue and save men's lives.
Well, Robin, the greatest place of seeing that is that whenever Jesus was being nailed to the cross, he didn't retaliate.
He didn't.
He did not retaliate. So he was revealing the heart of the Father in that moment.
Oh my gosh. And that's what he was trying to do with the disciples. He was saying, man, the Father cares about you. If you go out and share this message of love and inclusion, it's going to bear witness with the Father, and the Father is going to agree with the Father who's on the inside of you.
That's really good.
But if you contradict and deny this message and get upset and angry when you're out there trying to share this, then it's going to contradict and deny the very thing that's on the inside of you, which is love.
Okay, so here's another scripture that has this word deny. it's the word contradict. Let me read it out of 2 Timothy 2.
Yeah, this is good.
And we've seen this for a long time.
Yeah,
I'm
this is
surprised that we didn't catch the other sooner.
No.
But it says in verse 11, this is a faithful saying, for if we died with him, we shall also live with him. We did die with him.
Yep.
We are living with him.
Yep.
If we endure, we shall also reign with him. If we deny him, he also will deny us. Now, does that sound like God? No.
But he's going to contradict us. If we deny his character and who he is going to contradict us because he's staying the same yesterday, today, and forever. And he's just denying the lies we're believing. He's just not going to agree with the lies that we believe.
So instead of using the word deny, you use the word contradict. Either one works if you understand what the intent is.
But I love what this goes on.
If we deny him, he will also deny us. If we contradict him about who we are and who the Father is, he will contradict us. Because, Robin, if we are faithless,
Yeah, which is why we're denying
he remains faithful because he knows who he is. He knows who we are. He cannot deny himself. He cannot contradict himself. So whenever you see these scriptures like in Matthew 10, where it looks like that God could throw both soul and body in Gehenna, Jesus is saying, no, the Father cares for the sparrows and you're of more value than the sparrows. He loves you. He cares for you.
I love this. It says, if we are faithless and believe a lie about ourselves and about our Papa God, he remains faithful to us because he cannot deny or change who he is. He is love, and there is nothing that can separate us from this love.
And that's what Romans chapter 8, Robin, says at the end. Nothing can
Not
separate
even the worst
us
sin
from the love of God. So Jesus is using this word Gehenna not to say that God's going to burn everybody in eternal conscious torment. They wouldn't have even heard that. They would have heard,
Again,
God could do this. They thought God was going to do this, but it wasn't God doing this. It was men that was going to kill their body.
Yeah.
And
well, the truth is, the Jewish leaders didn't even really believe it was even going to happen.
No.
They didn't even believe. They believed that they were going to keep ruling in this power, and they didn't have to change their mindset or change. They were in denial of the natural consequences that were going to come because of the way they thought and behaved and treated the rest people outside of the Jewish culture.
So Robin, it's amazing how when we begin to remove fear from our hearts, that we begin to look at scriptures in a different light. We look at it from historical context, from spiritual context, making application, understanding the culture of that moment. Then it begins to open up because God, a few years ago, God spoke to me this word about, I can't even think of the, it is congruent. It left my brain. The word congruent means to stay the same. It means to stay consistent.
Yes.
Well, the Old and New Testament
Jesus the same yesterday, today, and forever?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Malachi says, I am God. I never change. I am always the same.
Yeah. And when you really understand the historical context of and look at it properly from that and stay consistent, understanding Jesus's purpose, that it was love, then you're going to interpret them
because
the right
he was
way.
wanting to show them the Father. So Jesus was dealing with the lies of all of that Jewish system with his disciples and the Jewish people as a whole. He was trying to get them to come over. He was not threatening to throw them into a place of eternal conscious torment. He would not be saying that because he would have to contradict himself, because he is love. He is who he says he is. He can't contradict himself.
He is wall to wall love.
He's congruent.
Yep.
So he was contrasting the lies about Papa God that they struggled with to let go of those things with the truth of the Father. And Robin, what we heard Kay Fairchild say, and we've been saying for quite some time, but this weekend Kay told us that truth is eternal.
Yeah.
That the truth is eternal. It's always been true.
Yeah.
It will always be true. But Robin, there's a lot of stuff in the scriptures that aren't eternal truth. It's the truths that men believed in their moment about God.
Yeah.
But God was through Jesus, trying to change their minds to get them in line with eternal truth.
And I think one of the biggest things for us was to understand that the Bible isn't the Word of God. Jesus is the Word of God.
Jesus is the Word of God.
The Scriptures have great value to us when you read them from the right context and understanding that the Scriptures were not, they were true about what they thought, but they weren't the truth about God at all times. Jesus came and presented the truth about God.
So, Robin, even Old Testament, New Testament, I see God's Word in the Scriptures. In other words, sometimes God got through in their moment. Sometimes in the Old Testament, you can see that somebody had to begin to capture the love of the Father in that moment for just a second, and then in the next second
they'd go back.
They were killing everybody.
But how many times have
we're doing that today?
Oh my gosh! Sometimes we do that too. That when it's convenient for us, and when we're upset and angry, and we want to be judicial and judgmental because we want to spew all that out, just like the disciples were going to be tempted to when Jesus was sending them out, and Jesus was saying that's going to contradict and deny what you have on the inside of you, which is the love of God.
So that means us preachers shouldn't be mad.
not even just preachers. Anybody shouldn't be mad. We
true.
All are one with God, Terry.
We
should
are.
Not operate from a place
But Robin,
of
what my amusement of that is because Jesus was sending out the 12 with a message of love to all the people. And so if preachers are mad, no wonder the people of God are angry and upset and think that God's mean.
What we've done is fallen into the mindset that Jesus was contrasting, that God would send you into your soul and body into a place of to Gehenna, a place of eternal conscious torment. That's where preachers have went to try to control people's behavior instead of focusing on the listen. If God cares about a sparrow, He cares about every detail of your life, even when you're messed up in your thinking.
Robin, God is not a manipulator.
No,
God does not manipulate. He gives us truth about who we've always been and about the love that He has towards us. Matter of fact, all of these scriptures that we're talking about tonight, like if you deny me, I'll deny you.
It's just denying what's on the inside.
Well, Robin, it's totally opposite of Ephesians 1. He said in Ephesians 1, you've been accepted before the foundations of the world. You've always been accepted. So how could He deny you if you've always been accepted?
We're the ones denying that truth right there when we're not operating in love toward other people, the people that we come in contact with, because we're denying the very love we're one with on the inside. Listen, as we end, Terry, we can trust the love of our Father God because there is no fear in love.
Robin, I want to read that one more time out of the Passion Translation out of 1 John 4:18. Love never brings fear, for fear is always related to punishment.
Yep.
I do not believe in the God of reward and punishment. No. Sorry.
No, we're an atheist against that.
Yes, God. But love's perfection drives the fear of punishment far from our hearts.
Oh my goodness.
Wow, that's what Jesus was trying to do in their moment.
He was.
Whoever walks constantly afraid of punishment has not reached love's perfection.
In your mind, because you have
love's
perfection on the inside of you. You have it on the inside of us. It's in our thinking that we have not reached love's
Robin, there's
perfection.
a scripture that says you have an unction. I know we don't talk like that. But you have a knowing. You have a knowing from the Holy One, and you know all things. In other words, whenever you hear stuff like this resonates.
Oh my gosh.
In you.
It like bears witness.
Yes.
It's like it agrees with, and when you hear something that it goes against the love of
God,
then
your head is fighting it. Your head is fighting it because of everything that you've been taught.
Oh my goodness. But listen, Terry, as we wrap this up, there is not ever going to have to be a fear on the inside of us of ever being separated and being from God and being sent to a place of eternal conscious torment.
Yeah.
Gehenna, as we've been talking about it, that was translated into hell, it was simply a burning dump outside of the city of Jerusalem. There is no fear of ever being separated from God. God is love. There is no fear in love.
And so as we end tonight, I just want to tell you that I know that you see a lot of things in Scripture opposite of the love of God. I believe that, just like tonight, I believe that if we take our time and look at it through a different lens, we'll begin to see the reality. I think that there's a lot of things that we've taken literally that we should be looking at metaphorically. We should be looking at spiritually. As Robin and as you and I have been coming into a lot of understanding, I believe a lot of things in the Old Testament can be used for our admonition or our teaching. I think that we can see what not to do sometimes. But I also think that whenever I make that statement, that we can see what not to do, I think that there's a lot of things that are going on inside of our mind through all of the characters of the Old Testament. If we could ever begin to see some things historically, then we will be able to move over to see some things that Jesus was trying to do in their moment to get them out from underneath that old covenant system, that way of thinking that had been a part of mankind's thought processes. But all of that was coming to an end, and Jesus was revealing the Father.
Remember, there's no fear in love, and that is the Father that he was presenting to them. This week, as you go through your week, if you are struggling with fear, you remember that you are one with the love of God that's on the inside of you. There's nothing that can separate you. Even your wrong thinking about that, even the fear that you might be struggling with in your own emotions is not separating you from God. God is right there with you on your journey. He has the ages to come.
He will never deny you.
No, he might deny the thought that you have that says that God is mad at me, or God could be separated from me, and he's denying that because he's right on the inside of you, sticking with you through it all.
When we're faithless, Robin, he is faithful.
He's faithful to you
this
week. You guys have a great week.
Praise God.